what we think we see, what we think we know. It's a great thing to be able to throw out all that thinking. And you get peaceful at life at last. You don't have to do this all the time. Just every now and again, learn how to throw it out. I told a story a long time ago about my mother's mantel shelf. She's an English woman. She's in a home now, she's very old, but in her house, like many English people's house, they had a fireplace, and above the fireplace they have mantel shelf. And on that mantel shelf they keep the knickknacks, the mementos, the photographs, and all the things which bring back happy memories. And so that one day, I'd just been in Australia for a few years, and I went to visit my mother, and so I brought her a gift. And what sort of gift do you bring? Someone gave me a stuffed kangaroo. A little fluffy toy, really cute. So I brought that back and gave it to my mother, and she liked it very much. She put it on her mantel shelf. Next time I went over there, someone managed to get me a koala. And so I took that back, and she said, "Oh, it's so beautiful. Every time I see this, I can remember you in Australia." So she put it on her mantel shelf next to the kangaroo. The next time I managed to get a kookaburra. The time afterwards, a platypus. And the fifth time I went, I managed to get a wombat. The trouble was, the wombat was so big, she tried to put it on the mantel shelf, and all the other ones fell off. And she spent about an hour trying to balance it on her shelf, and everything else fell off. I said, "Why didn't you throw those other things away?" She said, "No, these are nice, they remind you of me. And you had so much rubbish on that shelf." And I said, "Mother, this is like the person, they get one more thing in their head, they have nervous breakdown. Your mantel shelf's having nervous breakdown." That's what happens. We collect so many thoughts and so much stuff. So if that was my mantel shelf, every time if I got a kangaroo, I'd just put that on. Everything else would be clear. And the next time someone gave me something else, I'd throw that one away and get something new. So one thing at a time in your head. And then your mantel shelf inside your brain never ever has a nervous breakdown. That's what I always do. I have all these jobs which I'm supposed to do. And I've just been on this teaching tour of Indonesia, all over the place. And I'm also spiritual director of Buddhist Society of West Australia, abbot of Bodhinyana Monastery, look after the nuns' monastery at Dhammasara, spiritual advisor of the Buddhist Society of South Australia, spiritual advisor, patron of whatever, Buddhist Society of Victoria, the director for Wat Buddha Dhamma in Sydney, spiritual patron of Bodhikusama Meditation Centre, director of Brahm Education Centre in Singapore, spiritual patron of Buddhist Fellowship in Singapore. What else am I doing? Oh, it's vice chair of the Australia Sangha Association. A few other things. I missed out a few. What is it? I forget now. Anyway, I've got all these jobs. But I only do one at a time. So when I'm sort of here in this building, I just put Buddhist Society of Western Australia on my mantel shelf. And that's all I am. And then as soon as I leave, I throw that away. And then I'm just teacher at Jhana Grove Meditation Retreat Centre. And that's the only thing on my mantel shelf. And as soon as I leave that and go back to Bodhinyana Monastery, I throw that away. Now I'm abbot of Bodhinyana Monastery. I just got one thing on my mantel shelf at a time. That's why you're sane and peaceful and happy. So throw things away and only keep one thing, the present moment, what's happening now. That becomes the first way of letting go. Learning to throw things out. And stop keeping so much. Especially don't keep the past or the future. Second way of letting go is just